nah, I'm not that sick. So I tried that Alka-Seltzer cold and flu kind of stuff, and it was kind of getting me by. And then I actually went to the doctor, and they put me on some steroids and stuff and said, I didn't need antibiotics. I was good to go. So I felt great that one day. David Olson got that phenomenal photo of me. I love him. And then
where you're in the infield working on the.
And then we did I was on the skidster and everything too. But so
that's what we're calling it. I call it the green machine, the skidsters. What was it?
our wonderful sponsor from Sunbelt. They're amazing.
There you go,
to
Sunbelt
us.
Rentals.
But so we literally, I had that great day. I felt phenomenal, and then it poured rain, and the temperature bottomed out. And the next day, I just felt like death warmed over. It was horrible. So we only had 2 days left to go. We made it through those 2 days, and I decided I was going to pop by the doctor and just get checked back out and make sure maybe I needed some cough meds, something. And they admitted me for 4 days, and I had 3 cracked ribs and a collapsed lung. So they aired up my flat tire and sent me back. Told me I was good to go racing. So we are good to go. Ready for the last week of Speed Weeks. It's a huge deal for me because this is the first Speed Weeks ever for me that my Florida Mini Sprint and my Dirt Race and Street Stocks are going to race here at Bubba Raceway Park during Speed Weeks.
That's right, because the Florida Mini Sprint Action Series, the FMS Action Series, or the FMSA Action Series, they were a part of the opening week.
They were.
With Tony Stewart's All-Star Circuit of Champions. What a great show that was. And, of course, Tony Stewart won the opening night of that event. And then, of course, the mini sprints on the schedule. I know in the past you've been at Bubba Raceway, you've been to Ocala, or you've been to East Bay Raceway Park, and now you have your street stock program in conjunction with probably what they call the greatest street stocks on the planet, the Durance Lane Street Stock Series.
Yeah.
So it's a co-sanctioned deal. Yeah. But, I mean, to have your name on that card, that's got to be exciting.
It is great. And it was kind of, it was awesome. Arizona makes our T-shirts for Speed Weeks, and Daytona Sportswear makes my shirts for the regular season. So we actually started Dirts for Racing out as a T-shirt business, and it turned into a street stock series to save the street stocks here in Florida. And so it was funny, Mike Vaughn came down last year and we were talking about it, and I was like, well, why don't you guys have any races here in Florida? And it was kind of a joke because I knew why they really didn't have street stock races down here, because I had the street stock series in Florida. So
they were trying to respect you?
In
essence?
In a way, their series, when they come in, there's some sanctioning fees, and there was a rule package, and some of the Florida drivers didn't want that rule package at first.
Gotcha.
Some people don't like change.
Yeah.
So either they want it all and they want you to change the rules so they can get all the power out of it they can, or they don't want you to change anything because they're afraid of what the cost is going to be and they're not going to be able to race. So there's a fine line you got to walk with that. So over the last 5 years, we've slowly changed the rules to where we are actually level now with the Durance Lane Street Stocks, and so it'll be a great competition to see the Dirts for Racing rule package versus the Durance Lane rule package. There's not that much different, but it'll be a great show. And from what I understand, our champion Bubba Christian is coming this weekend, and
awesome.
They're working on having their champion come as well. So whichever one of our champions finishes first, whether it be they win or just ahead of the other, there's a $100 bonus so that we can reward and celebrate our champions that are coming too.
There you go. A lot of cool things going on there. So, of course, we're the Bubba Army Winter Nationals wraps up this weekend. The World Championship, 2,000 win, 2,000 win, 10,000 win. The street stocks, and I was kind of reading information on this deal because I have some other media things that I'll be doing here at the track for CrateInsider.com and for the Where's Wesley segments for that. Remember, also, I'll be at Cherokee Speedway in Gaffney, South Carolina, weather permitting. It's more bad chances of weather up north in South Carolina than there is here in the South. But they've got a March Madness, and that will be on MAV TV, and I'll be there on Sunday covering that event. But what I was going to say was that you are running the races, practice tonight, optional for both classes or any divisions that want to practice. 2,000 win, 2,000 win, 10,000 win for the Durance Lane late models. And then you've got the street stocks running heat races. $400 to win purse. Basically, each race, a heat race, is going to be a purse paid through the field. That's right. Unheard of.
Right. So
don't ever see that happen.
We have 400 to win and 30 to start for their heat races. And what it's going to be are mini features. So they're going to run 20 laps for their heat races. So that way our fans will truly get to see. They'll have the late models running for 2,000 win on Thursday while the street stocks practice on Thursday.
Gotcha.
So then Friday, the late models will run again for 2,000 to win, and the street stocks will have their qualifying we'll have our fastest qualifier celebration, and then we'll have heat races. So for each of the heat races, it's truly like a miniature feature. So the street stocks will run, then the late models will run, then another street stock heat will run, and we'll keep the show flowing. And
Awesome.
that way the drivers also, this is a blue collar, but it is a premier blue collar class. So
Right.
we're trying to build this class back up and make this one of the largest events for the street stocks. So this is the first year of it, and it being here, we wanted to make it big. Then the Saturday night, we roll in with, it is $2,000 to win, and the B mains also, the top 3 will either get paid or have an option to go into the A main.
That's awesome. Cool deal. And that race pays $2,000 to win.
Correct.
And for street stocks, that's pretty damn good because normally you're lucky if you get $500 to start for a regular feature night. So, I mean, that's really good. The haulers come rolling in last night. I was very surprised of that. I mean, they're ready to go, and you literally was freaking out at 2 a.m. No, you can't park here. You can't park here.
It's raining.
Stay on the concrete.
I didn't want them to get stuck. Unfortunately, Mother Nature, I don't know what the deal is. There's like a voodoo doll with practice lately with
Yes.
with rain. But at the end of the day, it's a beautiful day today. However, we are expecting rain, and the track has taken quite a bit of water. We do not want to have a rough surface for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay.
So we have canceled practice for tonight.
Really? Okay. So that's already been, that's official now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and we are going to make
Breaking news.
Yes.
So,
So we're
not the kind of news we want to give, but yeah, breaking news.
So, but we would rather have great racing and practice for everybody Thursday, Friday, Saturday, have the phenomenal service that Bubba and Elwood work so hard to give these guys. And our crew works really hard between Billy and Bubba and Elwood to make sure that they get to have some great race and not just bottom feeders and, a one-lane groove. So they work really hard on that racetrack. So if they say that they need it to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they don't take that decision lightly. So we want to make sure that the pits are cleared for everybody to have a good time and, be able to park and have everybody organized here so that the show moves along quickly and that the racing surface is the best it can be for the fans and the drivers.
Well, again, this show is presented by the fine folks at All About Wraps, and you were kind of amongst that last night whenever that became an official business deal.
It was, and I was kind of giving him a hard time.
He called my bluff.
I was giving him a hard time. So, but at the end of the day, we appreciate everybody that supports racing. If you have someone that supports racing, that's where you need to take your business to. Because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of people that funnel money into racing. So if you see a mom and pop shop or you see a big business that's putting money into racing, the best thing you can do if you love this sport is to support those people because they support racing.
Let's talk about you, Candice. Talk about your resume, how you got started in racing and Dirts for Racing and Bubba Raceway Park, and you're still here when people said you were only going to last one Speed Weeks, and that was last season, and you're still kicking ass and taking names. Just talk about it.
Well, I kind of joke now because every time somebody gets mad at me, they tell me I'll be out of racing in 6 months, and so that's just been kind of a now giggle because at first I used to take it to heart and I'd go home and I'd cry and
why do they say these things about me?
I hated Haterade Sunday because you raced on Saturday, so everybody that was mad at you or didn't
Talks
like
junk
something
about you on Sunday. You're exactly right.
So it was Haterade Sunday. It was my new nickname for Sundays, and then but how I got started, I don't come from a racing family. None of my family races, but I grew up in Ormond Beach, which is the birthplace of speed, and they actually started racing right there on Granada and A1A.
Yes.
So we kind of knew about it, and then when I got to high school, I started working at the big speedway. I worked at Daytona International Speedway, and then I worked for a while for ARCA, and we even sponsored some dirt car guys into ARCA. So Michael Whipple and Corey Howard and Dustin Knowles all drove for us under Dirts for Racing. So that was a huge year for us. It was really good. Everybody's like, why do you have Dirts for Racing?
So you already had Dirts for Racing on an Arkham Menard Series car. By the way, shout out to the Arkham Menard Series. They're going to be in action next weekend, and that's going to be at the Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. And there's a lot of hype about that ARCA race, not only for what we saw at Daytona with that great race, but of course now having ARCA going from the beaches of Florida to the panhandle of Florida to Five Flags Speedway. So that's going to be a cool deal. Yes. Oh, and Dirts for Racing is going to be on one of those cars.
Not this year.
Or you're just showing me one of your ARCA cars.
That was one of the ones from past years. So
it is right on the front hood.
We did the hood. We did a big deal with them. It was a lot of fun. And we got to travel with them that year. So that was really cool. But I actually was I'm the mother of two. I have a 16-year-old and I have a 10-year-old. Right. And I actually have my foster daughter, too, who's 11. And so I was divorced, and my husband at the time was flagging at Volusia Speedway. So Tanya Moschel was running Volusia Speedway for World Racing Group.
Okay.
And they offered me a position to do marketing. Then that turned into I had a kids club. Then that turned into I got to help out with a lot more, and I was there for several years, and I loved it.
Got you.
And that's where my racing family kind of started. And then I got blessed to have some of these people in my life, and when something went bad, I was going to donate money, and I was like, I can just give them X amount of dollars, or I could invent this T-shirt, and then it doubles the money. I'll still pay for it, and then they get double the money. So Daytona Sportswear was my first ever sponsor. They teamed up with us, and Jeff Miller went out on a limb and dove in with both feet, and he has helped me tremendously. I can't thank him enough. He has never left us. If you like any of our Dirts Racing apparel, if you see them,
Yes.
it is great quality work. Daytona Sportswear out of Daytona Beach, Florida is phenomenal.
I still have the polo shirt from
Yeah.
years ago for
And-
Speed Weeks
and
when we met each other.
They do phenomenal work. They really do. And so they helped us out. We started that, and we raised all kinds of money, donated it to the family, and we did that for a couple years. And then I was like, man, I don't know that I like this. I kind of feel like the angel of death. Every time something bad happens, they call me to raise money in racing. I don't want to do that. It's not. I was like, I want to help. Don't get me wrong, but it kind of got morbid. I'm like, I don't
Right.
want to be that. And so we went up to North Florida Speedway, and it was myself and Chad Baker, Ashley, and we were picking on Scotty K because he was up there racing that weekend, and our buddy DJ didn't make it. So we were joking that Chad had been stealing as the crew chief, and on Scotty's way home, he posted something on Facebook about Rhett was having a dream about Candice having a street stock series, and I had joked and I said, if I get 14 of them, we'll have a street stock series. And never in a million years expected to get 14. And so we ended up with a full field. So 5 years later, we still have the Dirts Racing Street Stocks.
And, of course, you have been all over the Florida area. I mean,
they have raced at every track in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And it's been great. And actually, we go up to Mississippi. We go to the Street Stock Nationals. And the first year we went, there was
why not?
one Florida car. And Philip does a phenomenal job with that. And I joked with him. I was like, next year we're going to have more. And we did. And then the next year we were going to have more. Alabama and Mississippi were the only two states that beat us for car count this past year. So each year it gets bigger and bigger. So
yeah, truly that event, the Street Stock Nationals has truly grown. And props to Philip Hathcock and Rodney Wing and everybody involved with the House of Hook. I've been to that
absolutely.
racetrack. It is a badass track. It's a phenomenal track. They turned around and took a race that got rained out in August. The championship Saturday came back less than a month later and did it again. You guys made the trip twice and did it.
We made the trip twice, and the second time we brought a Gladiator.
Yeah.
So I actually got to race in it. So it was a lot of fun. We had a great time with that.
That's right, you do race. Tell everybody, what's that like? Do you feel like you kind of have that mindset of you can be a better promoter / track general manager because you have that conception of, I've been a race car driver, I know kind of what they're thinking, and plus you're in a male-dominated sport being a female racing in it?
Well, I actually I didn't race up until there was a tragedy, and I actually got a car and built it, put it together to race for that benefit. And then shortly after that, I was told that I could not race a race car because they didn't feel I had the talent or that I could reach the pedals. And so unfortunately, that person did me a huge favor because at the time they thought they were hurting me, and it was great because I had all kinds of people offering me every ride under the sun. I drove a modified that year. I drove a sprint car. I got to drive a mini sprint. I got to drive every class on dirt that year. I got to drive. It was so much fun. And then actually my street stock drivers all pitched in together, and mini sprint drivers, and bought me the Richard Petty driving experience. So I literally got to drive every class on dirt that year. Plus, I got to go to the Richard Petty driving experience. So it was
Did
great.
you go to Daytona? Did you
I
race on
did.
Daytona?
We did it at Daytona. It was a lot of fun. And so it was funny because, once you get to drive each one of those cars, they all handle a little different. And I kind of got to see which ones I liked the best and what I wanted to do. I loved a modified. I had a lot of fun in that. And so I did that a couple times. And then I settled down and I was like, I'm just gonna focus on my series, and I'm gonna focus on general managing, and I'm gonna, I want to do the best at this. I don't want to be like a little half-ass everything, and
right.
focus on a couple things.
You can cuss. This is unrehearsed,
Sorry.
unscripted. You can,
So anyway, but so at the end of the day, I did that, and I really worked hard at everything, and I was like, I got to find something to make this fun again, or I don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
So I
damn it all, it's got to be fun. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're going to be miserable doing it.
Dan Kerr had a Outlaw 4 for sale on the way, and I passed it every day. I had to go pick up Tanya's stickers. She drives a Gladiator, and we wrapped her car.
Okay.
So I had to pick up her